Alright then, all you cheeky Watsits, it's another round of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Funny thing going on here, we just wrapped up 2 other games in a row previously. First River City Girls and then Atelier Rorona. And we are pretty close to the end of Phoenix Wright here as well. Are we going to do a hat trick, clean the slate, and wrap up this game today as well? I actually doubt it a little bit. We've just only begun the final trial, and those tend to take a while, these trials, of course, with their myriad twists and turns. And let me show you a little interface spoiler I noticed while loading up the game. Notice that this is Final Day Trial Former, so this is definitely going to be big enough to be, like, split into 2 segments, this final trial, since it's apparently going to be Former and Latter. Oh well, just good to know that, so probably we're not going to end it here, but who knows. Quick recap of what happened last time. We got done snooping in Damon Gant's office, we got 2 important pieces of evidence. We got the final shard from that mysterious jar, or vase, or amphora, whatever you want to call this thingamajig here. And we got the whole thing built again. And it's related to SL9 somehow. We also got a piece of cloth with Emma Sky's handprints on it. Mysterious, that right there. Let's not press E accidentally to present this. I know I've done this so many times, this mistake, but let's not do that. Right, so those 2 things are interesting. We also, more important, we got confirmation from Lana at last that she is being coerced by Damon Gant into taking the fall for the death of Bruce Goodman. She did not actually kill him, by her own admission in private. However, she still intends to take the fall. In fact, she very nearly ended this trial by basically admitting to all charges. Thankfully, Edgeworth is no longer the supreme demon Edgeworth from the first couple of cases of the series. He is now good guy Edgeworth, so it seems like in his own subtle way he is playing for the truth to come out, and he has called more witnesses to basically, his excuse is that we can't say for certain with the evidence, even though we have an admission. So, smart from him. It's honestly extra smart since he's under fire for being sloppy, basically, using forged evidence in the past and all that. So it's smart for him to lean on, I want to do this right, to basically, get this chance. So anyway, Emma has been called up to the witnesses stand here now to testify on what happened in SL9 2 years ago. We already know where to go down here to make progress. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. But I don't think it has been lost, because the other thing we found earlier in Gant's office was this right here, the evidence list. With this with this ominous picture in the background. So, I think this is a very obvious case of what we throw down next. So, I know what I'm doing. Here we go. Mr. Edgeworth? This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet, you would insist on denying its existence?
Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture.
That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold! Nice. He actually got to say behold, Phoenix. That's cool.
This is the evidence list for the SL9 incident?
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over? Turn it... Oh! Oh! What's this? Yes, what is that?
Hey, that's it! That's the picture I drew! Ooh. Sorry, I may have just moved the mouse there a little bit. My apologies, my apologies. But, yeah, look at this. Everything's turning out somehow, I don't know. We'll work this into a victory, I'm sure of it.
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other.
Oh yes, of course, because we also established that it's basically like a continuation of the first list, like it was split in half, apparently because of that picture.
What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one.
Or you could just check the page numbering. I'm sure in an official document like this, they would make sure to have, 1 and 2 marked down.
You can see the marks here, where they were torn apart from each other.
Or, I suppose, that'll also do. Very good, Judge. Wow, Judge is actually doing proper, inspection himself here. Normally he's the one who has everything explained to him because he's so clueless, but groovy.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you.
What? What? Order! Order! But Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. That's very fishy, actually. Yeah, that's a weird coincidence.
If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor!
Are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head.
Uh-oh. Hopefully it's not, is it meningitis? Is the inflammation of the brain? Oh dear. That would be unfortunate if that's how this story ended.
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of that drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
What? That was not the place I was expecting this to go. What? I mean, I assume that Goodman tore it up to hand one piece to have the picture drawn on it and, But I guess he could have just gotten rid of that page if it was sensitive. Also, I'm implying here that Goodman is somehow in on the conspiracy now, but I guess we can't assume that, but it does sound a little fishy that this important evidence was handled by Detective Goodman before it disappeared. But okay, let's follow this line of questioning then.
Huh? Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see.
Is something wrong?
Do you even have to ask?
Good lord, is there actually a picture on the back of his page? Oh, he's so mad.
Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's that thing.
That's okay. The blue badger.
That's that thing. That thing that was dancing in the evidence room.
That is a super weird thing. The blue badger was conceived 2 years ago? What? How? Huh?
Clearly this act of vandalism is the work of a certain chief of detectives.
I guess he was out of scrap paper.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with Emma then. Someone just, decided to draw the blue badger prototype? Weird. List of evidence in the SL9 incident. Half of this list was found in Gant's desk. Oh, look at how nicely it's all taped up now. Can we yeah, let's hold on. Before we go any deeper, let's go see if we can now examine the full thing. Yeah, hold on now. And don't hit E to present, for God's sake. Aha. Okay, the images don't match up quite as well as I'd hoped. They actually seem like two completely different images with, you know... Okay, so don't know what to do with that. Let's carry on for now.
Very well. Witness, will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Can I point out the obvious? There's, you know, no way to tell who is stabbing who from that picture. You know, I hope we get to point that out in a moment. It's kind of important, but, you know.
Huh? Yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture.
So, yes, let's get in on this picture now.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows.
Aha, okay. So that kind of explains the silhouettes, I guess. Okay. Although, you know, I don't know how good she is at drawing, if she could have actually drawn the faces if she had seen them, but no.
After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Except it doesn't. Hopefully Phoenix gets to yell that out in a second. Or maybe Edgeworth even, as a good guy Edgeworth. You never know.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Oh boy, okay. Well, let's first check out, of course, what the final comment from Phoenix is. Kind of a weird order to do these in, but somehow I like getting that clue to start with.
That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here.
Really? What the heck, Phoenix? I don't know what it is. Is it that she didn't draw the picture 2 years ago? Probably not, but let's press her on it anyway.
Did you draw this picture right after the incident?
I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything.
During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye.
2 or 3 days later? The memory should still have been fresh in her mind.
Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black?
Oh, okay, that's the segue into this bit right here. Smart, I like that. Take a drink of water, I'm starting to lose a bit of my throat here. Yeah.
So at the time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue?
No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor.
You were knocked to the floor?
Dark had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed.
Okay, in that image, it definitely is a Marshall on the ground, though, I think. He's got those leather flappy bits that you have on, like, cowboy clothes. You can see on his chest right there. So I think that's him, though. No doubt on that front. Okay. Let's carry on.
Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt.
What happened after the lightning flashed?
You must have fainted, okay?
You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place?
No. I'm sorry.
The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint.
Oh, Edgeworth would know something about that, of course, having been in a similar situation. Maybe he's sympathizing with them to some extent, I wonder.
Do you really need to torture this girl any further?
What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here.
Anyway, this picture...
Yeah, I think Edgeworth was a little bit sympathetic for Emma there. Shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Now let's see if we can go up here, go to ham here. Because, you know, I don't know how to work that. It's that adventure game syntax problem. I don't know how to work this in if we don't get it right from here. I don't know how to work in the fact that you can't tell anything from this image, but I think that's the clear line we need to follow here. Well, we'll see.
Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course! This is the exact scene.
It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives?
Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright?
No, of course not. I'd better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Mr. Wright? Is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Huh? That's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind, and yet there's clearly a contradiction here.
We had that already. Now, I don't know. If it's not the fact that you don't know who's in the picture, I don't know what the contradiction is. I'm a little spooked now. Don't press E, don't press E, don't press E. Whew. Yeah, this is, like I said, I don't know what item to throw down. Honestly, I'm a little spooked if I'm even on the right track about the fact that you don't know who's in this picture. But I maybe... Okay, what I'm fairly confident about is... This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. That statement is so strong that I kind of want... that I think we have to put something down here. I wonder if I can put the picture itself here. I'm gonna try that first. Oh, the music didn't end, so that's not promising.
Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence.
Eh? It does? I don't see anything contradictory.
Huh? Really?
Objection overruled. Try to think before you make accusations, Mr. Wright.
Whoops, that didn't go so well. Okay.
Let's review everything else first. Now, what else could it be? Am I even on the right track? The next thing I can think of... Hold on, let's see. Oh, okay, good. I was gonna say, the next thing I was gonna say was, let's use the switchblade, because that kind of doesn't look like a knife, but the picture's so crude, you know, it could be a representation of a knife. I think this is it. Look at this. I just saw this here. Neil's autopsy report. Stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. But he is not getting stabbed in the back in this picture. I think this is the right call. Let's check the whole thing. They don't mention the back here in this actual report, but it says there on that text, so I think this one's the right call. Let's go with this. Yeah, baby!
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report?
Oh, really? I don't know which one to press here to represent the fact that he's not getting stabbed in the back. This?
I think it's, this part here?
I don't see what's so strange about that.
That's because the drawing stinks!
Mr. Wright, how could you?
The act of making an innocent girl cry should warrant the death penalty.
I guess he means I shouldn't shift the blame to others.
Yes, well, so long as the defense has learned his lesson.
I'd better take another look at that autopsy report in this picture.
Mr. Wright?
Okay, let's have another go then. I need to look at this picture now and the report, apparently a second time. Okay, so the picture. Okay, so there he's on the ground, knives coming at him, hands in the way, I don't know. And the autopsy report is the right item. Stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung, a knife tip was in the wound. Single stab wound, piercing heart and lung. Died from blood loss in under 10 minutes. Weapon found in wound was missing tip. I don't know. I think we're going to get a game over here. Because I don't know what part to point at. The knife, maybe, is the next... Because, you know, there's not a lot of interesting details to point at in this picture, so... The knife, maybe?
The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken.
What? Okay. I'm gonna blame the game on this because, like I said a second ago, the picture's so crude, you could assume that that's just a depiction of a knife. Like, I don't think I'm overthinking it if I'm just like, well, that's a weird-looking picture of a knife. Okay, I see what Phoenix is getting at, but, like, with such a crude drawing, it's not immediately obvious that that's what has happened to the knife, that it's missing its tip. Of course, now it makes sense now that I know that that's the case, but, like, that wasn't great to me. There hasn't been a lot of moments of bad logic in this game, but I am going to file this under one. I'm not satisfied with this one right here. But let's carry on. We got it anyway, so... And to be honest, like I said, there's not a lot of points of interest in this picture, so I probably could have worked it out just to point at the knife just being the only object of interest in the picture, just by that logic, but that's not great logic for a game like this, you know, or a situation like this, so...
Even I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
Oh, now the game's freaking mocking me for apparently not seeing that. Oh, whatever, game. Eat a bag of pelican eggs.
But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
Yeah, of course, though you guys haven't figured it out already. You know, how would the knife... You know, he's clearly about to stab him, so how could the tip already be missing and inside him? You know, that's the thing here.
And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Oh, okay, that also adds up in a nice way. Yeah, again.
Oh! What's the meaning of this?
Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. But then how did the tip end up inside the guy? Come on, Edgeworth.
Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
That's right. But what does this mean?
The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken.
That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, like, didn't you get on Wright's case about this a second ago, Edgeworth?
But she was sure she remembered correctly.
But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence?
You're treading on thin ice, Wright.
All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No.
Order, order, order! Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. Yeah, I think that's also where we were kind of going there, is that, he was killed with some other way. You know, the Steel Samurai case. When we were, last minute, we were like, aha, it wasn't even the spear. So, similar here. Probably is the explanation. It's cool that Edgeworth is the one to say it. Again, that character growth. Early game Edgeworth would have kept quiet about this in an effort that it would be overlooked, this explanation, and it would have had to be Phoenix to say it. But now Edgeworth is willing to entertain the thought himself in the pursuit of justice, and that's groovy. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances of there being two broken knives?